What you are about to witness is a harrowing tale of hidden secrets, deceit, and a twisted love triangle, which ultimately drove a detective to commit a heinous murder. This jealous LAPD detective murdered her ex-boyfriend's wife and flew under the radar for decades. Could you ever imagine a detective sworn to uphold the law, turning into the very killer they're supposed to catch? Join us as we dive into the depths of the most perplexing mysteries and unmask the skeletons hidden in the closet. To fully understand the intricacies of this case, we must travel back 20 years prior to the arrest and delve 4 to 8 years deeper into the past. John Rutten and Stephanie Lazarus were bosom buddies, but their connection extended well beyond the usual bonds of friendship. When Rutten began dating Sherry Rasmussen, their relationship changed dramatically. They became deeply attached, and Lazarus wasn't happy with it. She complained about the way things were going in a letter to Rutten's mother. Rutten was caught in a love triangle because he was torn between Lazarus, who was still much in love with him, and Rasmussen, with whom he was engaged at that point. To make matters worse for Rasmussen, Lazarus made unplanned stops at Rutten's home. Rasmussen pleaded with Lazarus to stay away, but she ignored her. Lazarus's warning words echoed in the air. "If I can't have John, no one else will." This raised concerns, especially when Rasmussen's father discovered Lazarus had been stalking her. Rutten and Rasmussen wed in November 1985, setting the stage for a fatal turn of events on February 24, 1986. Rutten went to work that morning, and Rasmussen pretended to be ill in order to avoid giving a speech at work. Around 9:45 a.m., a neighbor noticed the open garage door and the absence of the car. Later that day, a maid reported that she heard a violent argument following a loud noise. Rutten returned home to find the garage door open and his BMW missing. Inside, he discovered Rasmussen's lifeless body in the living room, riddled with 3 gunshot wounds, defensive wounds, and a bite mark. A bloody handprint next to the burglar alarm panic button further heightened suspicions. The detectives believed that an intruder brutally murdered Rasmussen, setting the stage for a baffling case. How did the murderer continue to get away with it for over 20 years, while rising through the ranks of the very department tasked with looking into her? Stephanie Lazarus was not considered a suspect in the 1986 murder of Sherry Rasmussen, which was initially referred to as a burglary gone wrong. Investigators concluded that 2 robbers, who had previously assaulted a nearby woman, were responsible for the incident, and the case appeared to be closed with no one being arrested. This theory left the murder unsolved, and the case went into deep freeze for many years. However, Rasmussen's parents persisted in their belief that Lazarus should be treated as a suspect, given her history of intimidation towards Rasmussen. Their concerns fell on deaf ears, and Lazarus was dismissed because she was a fellow police officer. But in the fateful month of May 2009, a dramatic turn of events unfolded, catching everyone by surprise. Undercover agents quietly and secretly collected a DNA sample from Lazarus while she was at work. This covert operation would eventually prove to be the starting point for a startling revelation. It would help investigators piece together the puzzle that had long baffled them. An old secret from the past was about to come to light. The DNA taken from a bite mark on Rasmussen's arm played a crucial role in Lazarus's arrest and subsequent sentence of 27 years to life in prison. The prosecution mentioned this particular piece of evidence and linked it to Lazarus. Was there a possibility that the DNA might have deteriorated over the years? This is precisely what the defense called into question, but the prosecution ultimately deemed it trustworthy. This revelation marked a game changer, as back in 1986, DNA wasn't a well-worn tool in the forensic detective's toolbox. Lazarus was able to avoid leaving any additional potential incriminating evidence, like fingerprints, at the crime scene, because of her thorough understanding of police procedures. Stephanie Lazarus was ultimately found guilty, based on convincing DNA evidence. She is currently serving her sentence at the California Institution for Women in Corona. She is expected to be eligible for parole in 2034.